If you listen to our show, we already know that you love travel. But here's a question for you. Have you ever cruised on a European river?
And for us, that is one of the ultimate vacations. And on this episode of Travel Inspired, we're going to share our experience and show you why river cruising is one of the best ways to travel the world, and specifically cruising the Rhône River in southern France.
Hello and welcome, fellow adventurers, to the Travel Inspired podcast. We are your travel agent hosts and best-selling authors, Rob Kerri Stuart, coming to you from the reimagined CMV studio here in Windermere, Florida. This is episode number 170, River Cruising on the Rhône River in southern France.
And I'm so excited about this show because if you listen to the Disney Travel Secrets podcast, then you already know that we spent the majority of March in Europe.
It was long.
It was long. Well, you know what? And as fun as it was still work, but it was 3 weeks. It was for a business trip.
Yes.
And here's the thing. We were with travel agents and our travel partners who we love every day. So it was just work conversations over and over and a few friendship ones, but yeah.
It's almost like sometimes it felt like you had people over to your house and they didn't know when to leave.
Yeah.
And the last part of this business trip was a 7-day cruise on the Rhône River in France from Arles in the south to Lyon. And this was actually an incentive trip that we won for being a top producer with a partner that has 5,000 agents and agencies, and we're top 10. So we get this very nice cruise, which also included a few nights before the cruise in Marseille. That was our first time to Marseille.
And you know what? It was fun though too.
Oh no, it was a blast. It just got to be a little bit tiring. I will say, if you get a chance to travel Marseille, we stayed at a hotel right in the old port. It was very cool.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I thought was really cool though was we did get to travel with some other agency owners.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of fun to get their take, but like we said, it did feel like a work trip the whole time.
Yes, I will tell you, travel agents can drink. That is one thing.
But one of the things that we really love about this cruise in particular is that if you didn't know you were in France, you might think that you were in Italy.
And that's because this is what a lot of people, including us now, I just learned this, we call it Roman France. And this is Arles, Pont du Gard, Vienne, and Avignon. And I found this out. There are more Roman ruins per mile than pretty much anywhere outside of Italy.
And I think we've mentioned this before, but this is the exact same itinerary that we did on our very first river cruise back in 2014. And on that cruise, we were going on AMA waterways. This time, though, we sailed with Uniworld.
And that's one of the big reasons we were excited about this cruise in particular, because we already knew the port stops and the places that we would be visiting.
And when this episode airs, we will actually be on another cruise, this time on the Danube River, which is one of our favorite rivers to cruise on. But I really like the Rhône too.
I love the Rhône. The biggest thing we were looking for on this particular cruise on the Rhône is that we have never cruised with Uniworld. And Kerri describes this as the bougiest boutique upscale river cruise line on the planet.
Well, if you love palaces, then Uniworld is a great choice because it definitely is opulent. And there's just all these cool touches of elegance. And it's very boutique. It's not for everybody. It definitely is a little more upscale though. So I really enjoyed this ship for sure.
The Rhône River is sometimes the overlooked river because a lot of people, when they're thinking about cruising in France, they think of the Seine. We actually cruised on the Seine 2 years ago from Paris, and we had a stop at the beaches of Normandy. Especially if you're a military buff, or if you're a veteran, or you have family members that are serving or have served, you're going to love it. But if you're into food, wine, and ancient Roman history, the Rhône River is where you want to be.
And, you know, both times we've cruised on this river, we have done the south to north, meaning the Arles to Lyon.
Yeah.
And that's actually the way we recommend doing it, not the other way around, going from Lyon to Arles, because there are some options with that.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why, is because when you end your cruise in Lyon, it's a jumping off point for some other fantastic places in France.
And some of you may know Lyon is also considered the gastronomic capital of France. I just say it's a foodie capital, but for you foodophiles, we'll call it gastronomic. And you're going to learn so much along the way on your cruise. When you're going from south to the north, you're going to want to stay a few extra days in Lyon and put that knowledge to good use.
Yeah, there's definitely some extra excursions and cooking opportunities in restaurants that would be fabulous to explore. Let's talk about what to experience in each port, starting with our first one, and that is Arles.
And as we recommend with any type of cruise, especially when you're flying to that destination, always come in at least a day early. In this case, you might want to come in a couple days early.
So Arles is really known because of Vincent van Gogh. He painted over 200 paintings here. You can see that cafe that inspired Starry Night. You can tour the asylum where he lived for a good period of time. Both of those, pretty cool.
That was amazing. It's also a very walkable port, meaning you can walk right from your ship into the heart of the city. And one of the key things you want to see here is, dun dun dun, the Roman amphitheater, which is actually still being used to this day. And on this last cruise, we just sat and had a glass of wine right outside at a little cafe looking at the amphitheater. It was interesting because most of these travel agents had never been there. And they would come by and like, oh my gosh, this is like the mini Coliseum.
It is like the mini Coliseum.
Yes,
That's what I was just going to say. Your next step on this amazing cruise is Avignon. And this city is known for being the 14th century seat of the papacy.
So this was the center of Christianity for nearly 100 years. It's also why it's known as the city of the popes. And what's really cool is they have the largest Gothic palace in Europe.
And that's another part of the Roman influence. Again, the Pope lived in Avignon for 100 years. Okay, maybe not the same Pope.
It wasn't the same
Pope.
Pope.
But the popes.
The popes. there are multiple popes staying in the papacy.
See, these are the things you learn, though, when you go on these river cruises. I love it.
This is also the jumping off point for the very famous Pont du Gard. And this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it's really an amazing example of Roman engineering. It's a Roman aqueduct. And it's also the best preserved 3-tiered Roman aqueduct bridge in the world.
Yeah, and that to me was one of the standout experiences because I still remember it from our cruise in 2014. And what made this trip even more special was we got to experience this with our business partner, Jen Lee, and her husband, Randy. It was pretty cool because they'd never been there before.
And this time we saw it from the other side of the aqueduct. So now we got to see it from two completely different perspectives. And the interesting thing to me is whenever you see it, because it's on a lot of the travel shows, if it's talking about cruising or just the Provence area, you always see it from the side where we saw it in 2014. Mm-hmm. And we didn't realize the other side's even better. You can walk all along it, and it was just an amazing experience.
Yeah, there were some locals that were doing like running, and
there were a lot of people.
Cool.
It's like a I don't know, a 2,000-year-old park for some people.
Yeah, so. No, it was kind of fun.
Our next stop is Vivier, Tournon, and Tan. I don't know if I'll pronounce this right. It's Tain La Hermitage. And on our trip, this in last March, we decided to do a wine tasting with a local wine expert. And what was really cool about that, there were only 5 of us.
Yeah, no, it was really, really neat.
Yes.
It was very, very cold. We went in March, which it is kind of the kickstart of the season. I would not recommend that you do this in March at all, but it was really, really cold. And some days the temperature felt like it was about 30 degrees. So here's what happened. We went on this wine tasting excursion and they drove us to the top of a really big hill. It's the top of the winery where the grapes are being grown. And that's normally where you would do the first wine tasting. And then you go down to the campus and they teach you all about the wine. But this one was kind of an extra special stop because it was so cold.
It was, yeah. So we get to the top of the hill / mountain, you decide. And before we get out, it looked like there were like these little white flower blossoms just kind of floating around. And we quickly found out, no, it was snow. And I will say, it's been multiple years. Last time I saw snow, we were skiing in Utah.
No, it was super cool though. And what a great experience, but it was pretty funny. So when we go down, we're in the class and I love wine tastings because the sommeliers are they're so passionate about everything and the education and the different pairings with food. To me, it's just fascinating. So there are 5 people on this tour, and clearly out of the 5, Rob and I knew the least about any of the wines and what food pairings, because he would say, now, taste this wine. What are the notes that you're smelling and tasting? And, once they're saying it, it's like, oh, I do. And then he would say, what would you cook with this? And the other people in our class are like, well, I would do fish with capers. And I'm like, how do you know this stuff? We need to get better at that.
We have to do more wine tastings. We don't need to get better at that. We just need to go people that are better at that than us.
Because I did love having somebody explain all of that. And then we walked away with a little more knowledge and also a little more interest in some of the French wines and what makes them special.
Absolutely.
So I loved this stop. This was one of my favorites.
I got the email of the sommelier, so we can stay in touch next time we go back.
For sure. So we're traveling north and we do a little pit stop in Lyon for the day. And it was absolutely freezing this day. And one of the things that I like is when you repeat an itinerary, the second time you do it, you can take things slow. If you decide you want to skip stuff or maybe go do some things on your own, you have that capability. We actually ended up for this day, we hung out on the ship, which was kind of cool because we got to, just tour a few more things that were open because everybody was off the ship. It was absolutely freezing. A lot of people did go into town and they went to some of the markets there. They did bring food back. So I feel like we got to at least try some of this.
We lived it through the other people there, but they came back and it's like they were frostbit.
Well, once they were inside that market there, then...
Once they got inside.
Yeah, once they got inside.
It was an indoor market. But now, again, keep in mind, this is March. The river cruise season really doesn't get going until mid-April and for this very reason.
Yep. And so after that last stop, then we cruised right back down to Lyon, which is where the ship ends and everybody gets off.
As we mentioned, it is the gastronomic or foodie capital of France. And France is known for its food. So that's saying a lot that this city is considered to be the best.
Yeah, I remember one of the excursions we didn't do this time, but a lot of people in our group did, is on disembarkation day, some people were sticking around. And so they offered a cooking class. And we did that the first time that we did this cruise. And it was really fun.
Yes.
That was just something that was kind of different.
So we highly recommend spending at least one extra night after your cruise if your cruise ends in Lyon, because you really do want to explore this city.
Yeah. So who is this cruise for? Now, let's say who is ideally the right person that will enjoy this cruise. Easy. Couples, it's a very romantic setting, empty nesters, and foodies and wine people, of course.
People who love wine and also people who are second-time river cruisers. They've already done the Rhine or the Danube, and they want something more culinary and less castle-focused.
Yeah, so if you are listening to us on the day or week that it airs, we are on the Danube, which every single stop is all about churches and castles, which we love and we call ABC, another bloody church or castle.
Yes, A, B, C, or C. Thanks again so much for listening or watching, in this case, if you're on YouTube. Make sure you join us on our next episode. We're going to talk about how to choose the right river cruise line for your family.
And also which river to choose, even if you don't have a passport.
Oh, that's a good teaser. We're also going to leave you with this little pro tip. Whenever or wherever you're traveling, whether it's a cruise or a trip to Disney, please make sure that you are using a travel agent.
Yeah, you definitely will be helping a small business. And if we can help you, please reach out to us at creatingmagicvacations.com.
And until next time, please just go away.
Yeah, stop scrolling, start going.